This an all-out blitz. Real hard hits, them other podcast trash, we gon' make them all quit. We cover all the topics with intelligence and logic. I know you wanna score, but ID gon' stop it. We from Texas, so that mean that we Texans. Breaking down the X's and O's, our profession. No complaining, just training, you see the progression. They had a Pro Bowl for talk shows, we get selected. We gon' celebrate every win like a birthday. Ray J with the news, first with all the updates. Spin move on the competition, yeah, we juking them. You not really in touch if you not tuning in. This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown, we not trying to go for 3. And it's best if you get up out the street, cause them bulls out the pen and they bout to stampede.
Welcome to the Texans Fan Battle Podcast, hosted by the Fan Battle Sports Network. I'm your host, Matthew Briggs, and always with me, I got my amazing trio. First off, let's start off with my A1 since day one, Mr. Crenshaw. What's up, buddy?
How you doing?
And guys, you know this guy very well because he argues with everybody. We got Mr. BT himself.
What up, what up, what up?
Guys, we got a special guest in the building tonight. Y'all know him off of 610 in the loop. We got Landry Locker. How you going, bud?
Man, I'm doing good. That video, you already got the new highlights and everything. You're on top of the game. I enjoy talking to you guys, like the passion, the viewpoints. You are right. Brown Chubby Bear is a crazy SOB, but that's why we love him.
Well, we got a comment already. Landry Seafood is greater than Landry Locker.
That is true. That is true. It's a very underrated establishment, actually. I don't know why it doesn't get more love, but I am a Landry Seafood fan. But that is a fact.
Well, you were kind of telling us you're a firework expert. Real quick, Landry, in celebration of 4th of July, what is the most underrated firework of all time?
The most underrated firework of all time, if you can find it, it's 350-gram cakes. Like 500-gram cakes are the ones that people buy the most, but it's the 350s are actually more compact. There's a cake, if you can ever find it. It's a Brothers thing. It's called Jaws. It's called Jaws, and it's
back in the day. Yeah.
$35-$40. It's got an alligator on it because I think they didn't want copyright, but it's called Jaws and it has an alligator. And then there's something called Firework Fiesta. That is very good bang for your buck. That's what I would go with if I were get something like that.
All right. Well, let's kick it off with some NFL news. You down with that, Landry?
For sure.
All right. Well, latest news, ESPN is cutting everybody and your mama. Everybody's getting fired. They're getting the pink slips. Landry, I'll start with you, man. Who is the most surprising cut of all?
I don't know that I was surprised by any of them. I think they had to make some decisions. I will say I know someone who's gotten let go by ESPN. Those people are still going to get their full contract. So it's not like one of us getting fired. The ESPN, like those people are still going to get their contracts. I guess you could say Susie Colbert, but she was working, probably not a ton. And they have girls like Lauren Rutledge and stuff like that are probably ready to go and probably need to be elevated. So I was a little surprised by Susie. I was actually surprised about Todd McShay too, because I just kind of thought that at some point him and Kuiper were a package deal. I do know that Todd McShay had gone through some things, and I guess they kind of, I know they were real supportive of it, but if you kind of have a situation where you allow your employer, your network to kind of see what it's like without you, and you have guys like Jordan Reed that I think does a really good job of covering the draft, and you have some of the guys coming up, I think it kind of goes there. But I guess I was surprised by McShay, but really, other than that, I didn't really lose. Van Gundy was weird too, but from an NFL perspective, I would say McShay.
Okay. BT, what about you?
Well, I don't know if I was surprised necessarily about anyone that got let go, but I think I was more surprised about some of the reactions because a lot of people were blaming Pat McAfee, but I don't really think that Pat McAfee is to be blamed. First of all, if anyone ever got the chance of going to ESPN, you're going to take it. So obviously he did. But it seems like to me that they made that decision well before they signed Pat McAfee there, and it's understandably why, right? Like so many people, even us, are watching stuff on YouTube or listening to podcasts as opposed to ESPN, so they had to change the game. So, but I just found it interesting that he got a lot of the hate because of what the alleged contract that he has.
Okay, Kershaw.
Like I really wasn't surprised. I really wasn't really sad for those guys. 'Cause like what Landry said, it's not like it was Rich Lord or Mike Messler when they got fired. I felt that because I grew up, especially Rich, listening to those guys. So, and they'll bounce back. They'll be okay. So that's my take on that right there.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Landry. The Ben Gundy was kind of like shocking a little bit because he just killed the NBA Finals. Like he did a fantastic job with Mark Jackson, and then all of a sudden he was like, "Whoa, all right, they're not kidding." So yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know what they're going to do with that. I don't know if they thought maybe Jeff was going to be done when his contract expired. So, maybe pay him and try to develop someone and get them a little bit more familiar. But yeah, that was surprising because that's your A-team NBA guy. So I guess that was a little bit of surprise. But I mean, I think ESPN needs to kind of rebrand. I think it's good that they're, going to put McAfee there with Stephen A. I don't know how much longer Stephen A is really going to do this. I think he might have like bigger aspirations. It kind of seems like he's doing his web show a lot. It seems like the FanDuel thing, and he's touching on other stuff. But I like that they're bringing in McAfee, kind of revamping things because they've made some mistakes, I think, in the past. I think they kind of turned their back on radio a little bit too quickly because I was actually at ESPN Radio, like one of the 5 branches, like the Dallas branch before, and they had only 5 branches that they were putting a lot of money into, and they ended up kind of like cutting the cord on radio, and you can kind of hear it like even on the national perspective. And I feel like if they'd gone more in on radio and just focused on the digital side, I think they could have been what Pat McAfee is. Like they could have brought in some guys and been that. And now it just seems like they're kind of adjusting with some of the decisions they made. The ESPN Plus, I don't know if y'all subscribe to that, but I mean, they needed to make some sort of splash, and that's what they did. But I mean, in a world where we all know someone, and I'm not trying to be Mr. Well, that they make millions of dollars guy, but like in a world where we know, especially the last few years, we all know people that are getting, let go of their jobs and they get like a month of severance or something like that. I wouldn't feel too bad for Steve Young because he lost his gig or something like that, or Keyshawn or, those guys.
Well, I also think is what hurting ESPN is more of the broadcasting and like the more of the reality. They love the reality more. Reality TV is killing TV, period.
Yeah, you're talking about drama and stuff like that. Yeah,
right. And it seems like they're stepping away from the actual broadcast and trying to go. I think that's why Stephen A. Smith is so popular because he's reality at its finest. Saying crazy stuff at any time. So
he's the originator of it. I don't think it's necessarily bad. I think drama, and I know VT's up there smiling because his ass dang sure ain't going to separate from the drama. Dang sure better not try to do that, my friend. But I think if it's authentic and it's actually like has some substance, it's good. But what I think ESPN has done is there's been like forced, and there's been like people. You can see it with Orlovsky a lot, and I think even Mina does it, and they both do their thing. They're trying to do a GIF, and they're focusing more on like GIFs. Like the best example I can use is I don't think ESPN is focused on what's good on TV, and they haven't been able to separate it from online. Like Brian Windhorst, I'll use Brian Windhorst as an example. Like he does that dumbass like finger thing. It's the worst effing TV I've ever seen in my life. It's garbage. It's trash. And as a result of it, because it goes viral, they give him more TV time and they do a whole segment on it. It's like, okay, it's funny online, but the dude was terrible on TV. So I don't think they've really been able to separate, Twitter and all that stuff from like the actual broadcast. I think they've kind of made that mistake a little bit, but we'll see what happens. I think McAfee does a good job, and I think with those resources, he's going to be pretty good. Hopefully he stays authentic and stays true to himself, which I don't see any reason why he wouldn't.
Well, one thing, I mean, you brought up, like the Twitter and all the social media stuff, and I think that's one thing that their talent doesn't really have, is that they have their TV presence, but they don't really have a huge social media presence. Sure, people retweet and stuff, but in terms of bringing people from social media to ESPN, that isn't happening. So I think that's part of the problem that they have. They aren't able to be everywhere, right? They don't have their own YouTube channel, their own Twitter that's popular enough to actually bring people to say, hey, I know you from YouTube. Now I'm going to watch on ESPN. So I think they just haven't really been updated. They just are stuck in the old ways and kind of hit everyone at the same time.
Yeah. Well, speaking of reality TV, Hard Knocks is coming back, and it seems like the Jets are going to be forced to do it. BT is like being a hard bit. Yeah, so hard about the Texans being on there. I don't really want it, especially being D'Amico's first year, but BT's hard on the Texans being on the Hard Knocks pause. But Landry, I'll start with you. What do you think about all this?
I think the Jets are the right pick. I think it's the right pick is the Jets. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer when you have Aaron Rodgers, you have the New York media, you have
Sauce Gardner,
you have Robert Saleh, who's got a nice presence about him. You just have a lot going on, but I think it's kind of a no-brainer. As far as the Texans doing it, I mean, I wouldn't hate it, but I wouldn't. I'm not like, maybe we can wait a year or two before that happens. I would anticipate they'll be on Hard Knocks the next 3 years, maybe 3 or 4, something like that. But I think the Jets was the right call.
All right. BT, we know you're not happy with it at all, but go ahead.
Listen, I'm not happy at all. Remember when we had Drew Doherty on the show here, he agreed with me, which is that we were likely going to go into, no matter what happened in the offseason, we were likely going to go into the 4th losing season. And Landry, I know that one of the things that you said was that the fans were apathetic this past season. And I know that too. When I flew down, people called themselves Texans fans, but didn't know who we were playing next week. So, I was at the bars and stuff and talking to people, and they're like, yeah, Texans, yeah. And who we play next week? Oh, I have no clue. I mean, they had no idea who was starting in different positions. They just didn't care. Yeah, they call themselves Texans fans, but that's about it. And I think that Hard Knocks would have helped bring more people and become fans, even though that I think we're going to win like 7 games. So we're going to have a losing season again. But I think that, the Lions, they haven't been good for a long time. Yeah, they have a good coach now and stuff like that. But I think one of the reasons why their fans stuck with them is because they had national attention. They were getting talked about nearly every day because of Hard Knocks. And that helped fans, go to the stadium. That helped people outside, out of the market, be interested in the Lions. I think that's what would have happened with the Texans, because I think D'Amico has a great personality. We have players with great personalities. I think that we would have fed off that. And unfortunately, they didn't do it. Like, if I was Cal, I would have volunteered and said, they're doing so many things to bring the fan base back, right? He's grilling burgers. He's the jersey buyback and all this other stuff, the fan council. He's doing so many things to bring the fans back that Hard Knocks would have been the ultimate, here you go, fan service. And he chose not to do it. So, yeah, I think that was a missed opportunity.
BT, why else the Lions were being talked about? They were exciting to watch. The Texans are not.
But we will be exciting to watch this year. That's why I'm saying, we
can hope. New quarterback, we can hope.
A new quarterback, a new head coach, a new OC. Like we have all the formula.
Unexciting. That can be unexciting, though. A rookie quarterback in first year, that can be unexciting.
It can be, sure, but I think we have the formula set, and Hard Knocks would have helped us have fans not be apathetic. I see
what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I'm just saying that's why they were being talked about. The 8th best offense in the NFL. That's what,
I'll stop talking about 1 minute. I just want to say this. I have a feeling that we will only win 1, maybe 2, but I really only think we'll win 1 game before the bye. And I hope that fans don't check out before then, because I have a real feeling that that's going to happen.
And shots fired by Crumpler. Shots fired by Crumpler. You're trying to sabotage D'Amico. Why are you trying to do that?
Man, I don't think it's a sabotage, honestly. Even Drew said it. Like, yeah, coaches don't like it, but listen, our year that we went to the playoffs. It's not sabotage. I think people think that it hurts more than it actually does. It doesn't.
Chris,
I think the Lions was so popular because the Tigers and the Pistons suck. So that's the only thing good in Detroit. See, here in Houston, we got the Astros and everything. But can a rookie coach be on Hard Knocks first year?
They can volunteer. They can't be forced.
Okay, so maybe they could have asked him. Well, maybe he wanted to. Like, nah, let me chill out for a little bit. Let's see the product first. And like Landry said, 2 or 3 years down the line, I don't think it's in the word that we're not on Hard Knocks. Because I want to see product on the field first before we see behind the scenes and everything. But I think the Jets the right call because the Jets could be an interesting team. If they don't make the playoffs this year, man, everything was a failure.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't wait to watch them. The Brees Hall come back and everything, Aaron Rodgers. So I think Jets the right call, man.
All right. Well, Landry, let's get in here while we're here. Let's talk some Texans news.
You ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 stick, you can get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you're right.
All right. Well, first off, Jalen Waddle was on Channel 2, KPRC, and he said the most underrated player was Jalen Petrie in the safety backfield. Landry, is he right?
He said he was the most underrated DB. I don't know. I think Jalen Petrie's rated about where he probably should be. I don't, I actually think the most underrated DB in the division is Tyson Campbell for the Jags.
Okay.
Tyson Campbell last year I think he was in PFF's top 80. I put him number 10 on my list of best players in the AFC South of 2023. I don't think Tyson Campbell's gotten enough love. He played every game. He was on the outside. Jalen missed a lot of tackles last year. And I'm not saying it was his fault or anything I'm not saying it was all his fault. I mean, obviously when you're that soft up front, that's a problem. He also had 5 interceptions. So I think there's expectations for him. I just don't think that Petrie, I wouldn't consider him underrated at this point.
You need more body of work, right? I mean, you got to see
yeah, and I think people know that he's got a lot of talent. D'Amico raves about him, and it seems like the league has some respect for him. So I wouldn't call him underrated at this point. I would say he's good, and I would say he has a lot of potential. But I feel like people know that. I don't think very many people talk about Tyson Campbell.
Okay. Well, Chris, I kick it off to you.
I think that was just Jalen showing Houston some love. He's from the H, and I think he was just showing some love. I don't think Petrie's underrated. Who I think is underrated, I can't pronounce his last name. I think his first name is Armani. He played for the Lions, but I think he with the Giants now. You guys know that guy? He's a DB. Armani. Shit, I can't pronounce his last name. Some crazy last name. I think he's underrated, and maybe the David Long kid from the Rams is underrated. But Petrie, nah, man, the people know who he is. So I think he was just sticking up for the Texans, and he was on a Texans show. I mean, local show as well. So they're just for the fans to talk about.
All right, BT, we know you're a Petrie man, so go ahead and tell us.
Yes, I am a Petrie man, and yeah, I think he's completely underrated. Listen, I know he missed 36 tackles, but as you were saying, Landry, it wasn't necessarily all his fault. We had really no pass rush to speak of.
Who was keeping those stats? Did he get to keep his own stats, keep his own score? 36 tackles? He had to. He missed more than 36 tackles last year, though. I don't know.
No, he missed 36. So he's missed 36. He had 147. But the problem is we had 2 DBs be the lead tackle. So anytime on a team, your DBs are the lead tacklers, you've got a problem with your front 7. That isn't on Petrie. Secondly, they played him wrong. They played him at strong safety first before he was free safety. All his real stats came from after they moved him, right? Besides the Bears game, almost all his stats really were after they moved him. So they played him wrong, right? They played Stingley wrong and they played Petrie wrong. So, if you talk about why he had those 36 missed tackles, it's not on him. It was on coaching and it was on bad roster construction. Why do I think he's underrated? Because there hasn't been a rookie that has performed like him that had either 125 tackles and 5 interceptions since 2000. So this guy has been the first in 2 decades to actually accomplish that. I think the only reason he doesn't get his love is because we're on the Houston Texans. He's on the Houston Texans. I think he should have been at least a Pro Bowler last year.
wow.
And I think that he should be an All-Pro this year. I'm very high on Petrie. I think that's probably Nick Caserio's best draft pick so far that he's made. And so I think that he's going to have a great season this year with the better pass rush, better coaching. I think that the only reason if he doesn't make an All-Pro, honestly, it's either because of injury, God forbid, or that we don't have a good season and we have 5 wins or something. And it's the Pro Bowl, All-Pro, it's a popularity contest. And if you're not winning games, then you're not, and especially if you have no primetime games, no one's going to really care about you. So I think that he's actually not getting what he deserves because he's on the Texans, not because of his inability or anything like that.
I got to kind of agree with Landry a little bit. I don't think he's underrated quite as yet because there's no really body of work, right? Like, it's his rookie year. So you can't really base off anything off except for 1 year. So you have to give a couple more years to see if he's underrated or overrated. I just think it's hard for a rookie to either be overrated, underrated.
Yeah.
You got to let the man cook. So,
and I could see him being a Pro Bowler for sure. I don't know too many people that are really sleeping on him, especially here. I mean, we are very high on him, Petrie. But I'm intrigued to see what he does. I maybe if he has a good enough season, VT will actually let his jersey get in like the full. I didn't know what that was. I thought that was a Joe Webb jersey or something like that. I can't really tell.
I know. How you gonna have Nico Collins in the middle, man? Come on now, man.
Yeah, you got to put Petrie in the middle, especially it's not even Nico's like game night. We got to switch those out.
I'll play it around with it.
Well, let's keep on the same subject of underrated. Landry, on YouTube and social media, us three, we made a list of who we thought was the most underrated player of all time. Mine, of course, was the great Owen Daniels. Crenshaw's was Dominic Davis or Dominic Williams, which one you want to call him. And BT's, of course, was Matt Schaub. So, Landry, who do you think picked it right? And who's your most underrated Texan player?
My most underrated would be Arian, and I know that sounds crazy. I don't think we truly look at Arian like nationally and realize that 3-year stretch that he had, it's Priest Holmes like, and Priest Holmes is in the Chiefs Ring of Honor. And if you look at Arian, you look at that 3-year stretch, you get the stats, and then you even have it's not a complete fall off after the 3 years with the injuries. I actually think Arian Foster is underrated because he's the one player outside of J.J. Watt and maybe Andre in specific years, although it's a much more competitive position, but where for an extended period of time, you could argue that guy's the best player at his position. Like Arian Foster, you can make a case for 3 years. That guy's the best running back in the NFL. And I don't think enough people outside of Houston really completely, grasp that or understand that. So I would say Arian would be my guy just because I don't think he gets his proper due. I also think Will Fuller, when he was, and I know this sounds stupid because he completely fell off and he always got hurt, but when Deshaun was starting off, like and Fuller came back and Will Fuller was out there with Deshaun and Nuke Hopkins, he was a fool with it. Like if you look at just Will Fuller with Deshaun Watson was an absolute full with it. And it's amazing what's kind of happened to Will. I know a lot of it is injuries, but I thought Will was incredibly underrated.
All right. Well, out of us three, who do you think got the closest to it? I know it's opinion, but
it's definitely not Schaub because VP overrates him. I think Dominic was good for sure. So I would probably say Crenshaw with Dominic just because I think Owen gets his flowers. I think we know that Owen is the greatest Texans tight end of all time. But yeah, Dominic was good for that stretch before what happened to running backs happened to him.
So here's another question before I kick it off to BT and Crenshaw. Me and BT kind of had a text there. Do you think Owen Daniels ever makes the Ring of Honor, say 10, 15 years down the road?
No, I don't think so.
I
think, we had Hannah and Cal on, and I asked Hannah, what are we going to do here? And I think they're going to make it more exclusive. I think it's going to get a little bit, more difficult for people to get in. You have two probable Hall of Famers up there right now. And I think they're going to be, they're not going to judge everyone just based on, how you did for the Texans. I think they're going to try to get all-time greats. And until they start winning, I don't think they're really going to do that. So I don't think they're in any hurry. I think the next person to get in will be maybe Vandermeer when he retires. Like they'll have like a microphone or something, just because he's been the voice since day one. And then I don't know.
You don't think Foster makes it?
I don't know. I know he's in good standing. I do think the best case I can make for Arian Foster is that if Priest Holmes is in the Chiefs Ring of Honor and the Chiefs have a long history and they've had a lot of success, if you put that up there, I think you can make a case for Arian. The problem they're going to have is like if you put Jonathan Joseph up there, then that just opens up a lot of debate. And I like J. Joe, but I think they're going to be more exclusive, at least based on what she said, and they want more winning to be able to put some people up there.
Okay. All right, well, VT, what about you?
Well, obviously, I think I was right with Matt Schaub, and the reason why I think he's underrated is because if he didn't get hurt, I do believe we were on our way to get a ring or at least a Super Bowl appearance. I think that Liz Frank really just was a downward spiral to his career. Matt did correct me. It wasn't 2 quarterbacks. It was 3 quarterbacks that hit 527 in a game. So, there's only 3 quarterbacks that have done it. One of them was Matt Schaub. I do think he's underrated. I think a lot of people.
It was overtime, though.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's only 3 quarterbacks that have done it. So I think a lot of people just associate him with pick sixes and they don't really remember the rest of the stuff. I mean, the bottom line is injury.
They remember it.
Listen, I'm talking to a bunch of Texans fans and they do not like him. And I'm telling you, I think that
they like him. They like him. He just wore out a little bit. There ain't no Texans fan that doesn't like Matt Schaub.
Oh my God.
There's a lot.
There's a ton of Texans fans that hate his guts.
Okay, but they were living in the moment. When you take a step back, you can realize that Schaub was a good quarterback. He pissed a lot of people off, the pick sixes and all that, and he fell off. But there's some love for Matt Schaub. You saying he's better than Deshaun, I think, is a little bit silly, though.
No,
I think you need to get out of your feelings and admit that Deshaun was better than Matt Schaub. Deshaun was a victim of a bad system. Schaub was a beneficiary of a great system. Deshaun did not have Andre Johnson, although he did have Nuke, which you can have the discussion there. He did not have Arian Foster. Deshaun is better than Matt Schaub. You got it. You got to look in the mirror and just say to yourself, I want you to have a peace of mind to just say to yourself, just say Deshaun is better than Matt Schaub. And if Deshaun had switched with Matt Schaub, there wouldn't be any if. They would have definitely won a Super Bowl, maybe 2 or 3.
I will never say that. First of all, he didn't have the longevity. We can't say that he's a better quarterback just if you look at the numbers. He had like 10,000 less yards than Schaub. How can he be the better quarterback when the numbers don't show it? If he had the wins or something, then maybe, yeah, you could make the argument that even though he didn't have the longevity, he had the wins. But he didn't have the wins. He had a short career here. So there's no way that you could say he's a better quarterback because of what could have been. Because you could say what could have been for a lot of players. Like you said, Will Fuller. But,
is Frank Gore better than Jim Brown?
You listen.
Longevity, I'm asking, is he?
Right. Earl Campbell, Barry Sanders, Megatron.
Is Frank Gore better than Earl Campbell?
The bottom line is when it comes to the Houston, because we're saying Houston particularly, right? We're talking about the Texans. And the bottom line is that Deshaun Watson can't be just because he was here for such a short period of time. That disqualifies him.
Matt Schaub had a great team around him, man. The offensive line, the defense, he had everything around him. The coaching
Most great
staff,
quarterbacks have great teams around them.
Look at the coaching staff then and look at those guys now. Most of those guys are head coaches now. So he had more things that Deshaun had. Like I say, I'm not a fan of what happened with the Watson thing, but for a skill set, Watson is a better quarterback than Matt Schaub.
You know that in your heart, VT.
The bottom line, he just wasn't here long enough to make that determination. If he was here long enough, yeah, that would have changed.
But even that short period of time, he showed that he's a better quarterback, though.
You can't say what could have been, right? Again, it's a hypothetical. If he was here long enough, you're right. He would have been better than Matt Schaub. There's no doubt about it. But the fact is he was here for such a short period of time that he can't make that list for me. Too short.
Okay. Right.
Like Mike say, fair.
Fair.
Yeah, fair.
Fair.
All right. Well, we know we're crunched for time, Landry, so we're going to jump to a fan favorite of who is Landry Locker.
Uh-oh. Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
Let's eat.
All right, man. BT, I'll let you kick it off.
All right, I gotta know how your love of 90 Day Fiance and all these reality TV shows started. Because I know the ways that I watched those for a period of time, but your answer when I asked you like how, I need to know the whole full story.
I've just always liked reality TV. I don't know why. I did. My parents got divorced, and I did live with my mom and sister for like a little bit of time. But even then, I like the shows more than them. Like I like the shows more than my wife. Like you can't make me go watch a Marvel comic movie. And I used to collect that stuff in 5th grade. But if you give me like sports and raunchy ass reality TV, I'll watch it. I don't know why. I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is. I just enjoy it. I just enjoy it. It's unrealistic yet somewhat realistic. I like watching everybody else's problems. I just enjoy it.
So before I move on to Crenshaw's question, is the challenge in your top 10 of reality shows?
I like the challenge. I haven't watched it as much like in the prime CT days, like when CT was just big body and he's the goat of it. I was in it, but the more that Johnny Bananas got pushed, I was just kind of like, man, I don't really like watching him as much. So I kind of went away from the challenge a little bit, but anything else like that is up there. But the challenge was nice, man. TJ was a good host.
When CT carried Bananas on the back.
Oh yeah,
that dude
him up and put him on his shoulders.
Yeah, that has to be. Yeah, that has to be like history.
Yeah. That was beast mode right there.
Yeah. All right, Crenshaw, what's your question?
Earlier you were saying that you worked in Dallas, and I hope this don't start no controversy and anything. Which fans are worse, the Houston fan base or the Dallas fan base?
I would say that the Cowboys fan base is worse just because there's a lot more of them. You know, there's people all over the place. There's a lot of passion. Jerry Jones is a mastermind when it comes to drama and understanding stuff like that. So I would say, like, if you're just talking about like the worst representation, I think all fans can be equally as bad. But as far as just the smoke and the venom and stuff like that, it's for sure Cowboys fans. Y'all see it.
What about the ones that you call in to the show and everything?
Oh yeah, that's hit or miss. That's hit or miss. It's been rough, but yeah, it's got to be. Houston fans are great, man. I don't really fan anger and stuff like that, and fan passion and irrational. It really doesn't bother me. But Cowboy fans, there's just so damn many of them, man. And a lot of them, you know, I know VT was pissed off because he was trying to talk about the 2 deep at bars when people were just trying to get fucked up. But there are some Cowboy fans who probably couldn't even tell you who the starting quarterback is.
All right. So Mavericks fans or Rockets fans?
That's a tie. That's tough. The NBA is Mark Cuban developed kind of like a culture of whining. So there's a lot of like whining and like bitching about refs, but it's kind of the same thing with the Rockets at times, not quite as bad, but I would say Mavs back like early Cuban, he kind of developed like a bitching about the refs type of mindset.
All right. Well, before I ask BT his other question, BT claims that he's your best friend on the show all the time.
Right there.
So I made a mission to make John Lopez my best friend.
Okay.
So I'm going to try some. Crenshaw's going to send me a bottle of this OG sauce.
Okay.
Is it legit?
Yeah, it's good, man. I really like it. It's thin, but I like to like put it on veggies. I like to put it on all the meat and stuff like that. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's spiced. He's been making it at the station for years. So he we
taste tester, huh?
Yeah, well, he was bringing in bottles, and we were just like, man, this shit's good. You should call it, And then we came to the name OG sauce. So yeah, you'll like it. It's really, really good stuff for sure.
Because I'm a fat boy, so I love my sauces.
Hey,
so,
skinny boys, fat boys, everybody likes the sauce, man. The sauce makes it better. Don't let any like hardo barbecue like fan, so you don't need sauce on my barbecue. Go kiss my ass. Like you need the sauce. It makes it better. So don't give me that. You don't need sauce with my barbecue. Yeah, you do. It makes it better.
All right, VT, you have another one for Landry?
Yeah. So on your show today, B. Scott was saying that before he didn't really care too much about what certain fans were texting in on the text line and stuff. And I want to know, what things do people text in that pisses you the most? Like that's constant, that you get all the time when you do your show?
See, I don't like, it doesn't bother me as much. Like you got to have, thick skin when it comes to that. But I mean, they'll say anything, man. Like there's all, I mean, you name it, we're getting it. And you don't bring it up. Some people will make the mistake of just bringing up, if someone says, Landry's a pussy and whatever, like you just don't bring that to the air because other people don't know about that, or, like some of the other stuff, but anything you can imagine them saying, they'll say on there. It can be fiery, it can be passionate. I guess the thing that would like disappoint, like would like annoy me the most, and I'll go back and forth on the text every once in a while, but not like, just, talking or whatever, is if they say something you didn't say. That's really the problem I have. Like you can disagree with what I say, but just don't say that I said something that I didn't say. Like I think the other day someone said something, I didn't even reply to this one, but it was like, before the draft, you were a Bryce Young guy, and now all of a sudden you're saying CJ Stroud is a franchise quarterback. And it's like, I've never said I think CJ Stroud is a franchise quarterback. I've said I like his charisma. I've said we'll see what happens with Slowick. I've said that he's easy to root for. I've never said that. Like, so I think y'all can all relate to that. That like even with what y'all do, and y'all don't have to deal with like 4 hours of people, giving their opinion
in a bigger base, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but like even like as long as you're just not saying something that I didn't say, it's kind of that's where it gets really weird for me.
So I didn't see Brandon Scott on the show. I saw Sway Scott on the show.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from. He just put that on in the middle of the segment. I don't know what my man was doing. He said he's getting insecure about the locks. He doesn't like where the I guess Crenshaw, you can relate to this. None of us can relate to this.
Yeah,
yeah, you definitely can't, Matt. But yeah, like he's saying he's just not feeling the hair right now, so he just put it. He decided he wanted to cover it up a little bit.
It's hot. That's what it is.
I couldn't imagine having that much hair in this heat.
Right, exactly. Crenshaw, you got another question for Landry, or are you good?
Oh no, I'm pretty good, man. Recom Tech.
All right. Well, I got one before we let you go, Landry. You've been a friend of the show. We're passionate. What advice would you give us guys to make this the best of best?
Just keep doing y'all's thing. Don't be afraid to highlight y'all's opinions. I tell this to VT all the time. Sometimes I see the videos and it's it's the guest, which is good. But at the end of the day, you three guys being fans, you three guys being there since day one is what's gonna, what people are gonna come here for. We can see interviews all over the place of what these athletes think, but I think the more that you guys feel comfortable showcasing y'all's opinions and just keeping doing what y'all are doing, keeping consistent, I think you're gonna be okay. And I think that's the key, because it's about to get. I mean, let's be honest, like the Texans are a more exciting squad. There's probably going to be more people looking for, Texans content. The NFL's going on YouTube. I know you guys are on YouTube, so it's only going to grow, but I would just say that, be sure to showcase what y'all's takes are just as much, because, y'all are the straws that stir the drink on this.
And it's Gig'em, Crenshaw, what Tyler said.
I thought it was Recom Tech.
All right. Well, VT, do you have a quick question, or are you good?
I'll ask one really quick question.
No,
so I know that you're in the process of moving and stuff. And so what was on your playlist? Because you had to put up, probably put furniture together and stuff. What were you listening to get through all that crap?
Man, Figgy has put me on. So if you know me, like I'll listen to any like old school South hip hop is what I listen to. So the Swisher House era, I stay in Atlanta, I stay in Memphis, I stay in New Orleans. I stay South. I do not listen to East Coast rap. I don't like it. I've never liked it. It's not like a Hardo thing. It's just not my thing. Like, it's just not that. So Figgy has put me on Finesse 2 times, and that's all I've been listening to now. Like, if you're working out or whatever, it's just kind of like a he's kind of like a mix of Gucci and Young Dolph, and he's like, but that's all I've been listening to now is Finesse 2 times, and I'll mix in some Webby every once in a while. I saw he was in Houston the other day looking like a fat dope fiend. But yeah, I'll mix that in. But I've been on the Finesse 2 times kick really, really hard since Figgy put me on it.
Hey, he was just enjoying some Trill Burger, all right, Landry. You know,
Man, he was enjoying something. I don't know.
He was living his best life, man.
The fact that he did not just like completely like, and I like Savage Life 1 through 3. I'm probably getting a little too in the sticks here, but Savage Life 1 is like one of my 5 all-time favorite albums. And it's just a damn shame, him and Boosie. And now I think Boosie's going to jail. So there you go.
All right.
It might be karma too, by the way, for all that talking about Gunna snitching. Now it's like, yeah, it might be some karma there, and we'll see how he handles this situation. I was talking about Gunna and T.I. snitching, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, this is the test for him, right? I like it.
Yeah.
You know, let's see what you got. All right. Well, Landry, man, it's always a pleasure having you on. Like I said, you're one of the show's great friends. So why don't you tell the listeners where we can find you and what you got cooking? And Chris Saul's rubbing my face.
So we got In the Loop 10 to 2, Monday through Friday, Sports Radio 610 in the Odyssey app, and then the Locker Room on YouTube. The Locker Room at Landry Locker on the social platform. See, I showed this off to VT the other day, so we got a little sign.
I love it.
You can change it up a little bit, but yeah, Locker Room on YouTube. Check that out. So.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous. You have BT on, but you haven't had me and Chris on yet. We're a little.
Yeah, we need to get you. We need to get you guys on. It was actually kind of off the go. What did you do? What kind of shit did you start? It
was about the Hannah. Wasn't it about the Hannah talk?
No, he did something. What did you do?
It was me trolling Browns fans with the video.
Yes, the Browns fans. Yes, but we'll definitely have to do it for sure.
You never know what BT does. BT always got somebody.
When do you sleep, brother?
I don't.
No, really. When do you sleep, sir? No wonder you're fainting and having to cancel a road trip. I mean, my man is like, you wake up from the morning, and you guys all know this. You whenever you do it, you open up the Twitter app, and this dude's arguing about damn climate change or something like that at 5 a.m. Whatever the hell he decides he's going to argue about. The first thing I see in my feed is it's 5:46 a.m. and VT's arguing about, I don't know, road pavements or something like that. You never know.
Oh man, good stuff. Speaking of BT and Twitter, tell us where we can find you at, bub.
At Landry Locker on Twitter, and then I just signed up for that other thing, whatever that is. That
Spill whatever.
What's it called? What's the new
Blue Social?
No, there's a new one that just came out today.
Still
Threads.
Oh, Threads.
Yeah, so Threads is like connected to Instagram. It's a new thing. It's actually kind of popping right now. I think Zuckerberg started it or something. So yeah, Threads. At Landry Locker on everything though.
All right. Well, VT,
we're you guys, man.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. We appreciate it.
Camp? Are we gonna see any of y'all at camp, or is that?
Yeah, I should be at camp. I don't know which day, but I'm gonna be there. Okay. Maybe the Saturday at 6 o'clock, man. Because 9 o'clock in the morning, I might faint out there, man.
Hey, for VT, huh?
They got the water. You'll be good, man. It's the heat, baby. But yeah, I appreciate y'all, man. I'm gonna go to Home Depot. I gotta pick out some curtains. So the exciting process is coming through. Got to get there before they close at 10. So
yeah, hey, that light back there remind me of back in the day in my old room when I used to do my thing.
Oh, okay. Hey, now you're man. That's too much between between you doing that and VT doing whatever the hell he's doing late night. There's some late night activities going on here.
You can find us on OnlyFans. You know what I mean?
All right. I can't. Someone can, maybe, not me.
All right, thank you. Thank you for coming on, man.
Appreciate
Thanks,
y'all.
man. Appreciate it.
Peace.
And BT, tell us where we can find you on social media and what you got cooking.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Brown Chubby Bear. You can find me. Also, me and Leo do this after hours, and it's not an OnlyFans thing that you either do a recorded space or we do a Zoom. We didn't do it last week because of some schedule conflicts, but we should be doing it tomorrow. So check me out at Brown Chubby Bear and check Leo out at Leo is Forgiven. We record the podcast and put it on the same audio podcast channel that you find Texas Fan Battle on. So check that out.
Yes, sir. It's good stuff, guys. So definitely check it out. Crenshaw, what about you?
Yeah, you can find me at Fifth Ward Crenshaw everywhere. And go Texans.
And you can find me at A1 Day One Texans. You can find me and BT both on the Fan Battle Sports Network, where we write some good articles. And you also find me Sunday on AFC South Fan Battle, where I trash talk the Jags, Colts, and especially Titans because they're crybabies. And you can find the podcast Texans Fan Battle everywhere. So make sure you tune in. Till then, guys, have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you later.
This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown. We not trying to go for 3.